started.
El Kabong. Okay, well, let's try a d4 opening. d4, d5, c4. See what we get here. The Slav defense. Okay, I play knight to f3 to control the e5 square. He plays this move, which is normal, and then I play e3. I'm just playing my standard setup here so that the bishop can take back on c5. He pins. Let's see, I don't have to develop the bishop just yet. I may wait a move and then then play bishop e2. Usually, often, I can't say if it's all the time. A lot of times they will just take here as soon as you move the bishop, force you to move the bishop again, just to try and create that little annoyance. He's not doing that. So I have two different ways to play here. One is to play for the e5 break. Push this bishop back. Reposition the bishop to d3, rook to e1, and try and push e5. Or the way I'm doing it now, which is to, the idea of e5 is to open up a line for this dark squared bishop. The other way to play it is to put the dark squared bishop on b2 here and open up the center later. So you're still going to push on with e5 because you need to get the d pawn out of the way at some point so that this bishop on b2 will come to life along this long diagonal. So it's all going to revolve around center play for a while here. I could go with knight to e5. I should at least consider it. Knight e5. His bishop is under attack. So he'll probably take my bishop and take back. Then he can take my knight. I'll take back, hitting his knight. He can play knight to... and he won't be able to play knight to b5. He'll be able to play his knight back to d7. Right, he won't be able to play knight b4. He can play his knight back to d7. So let's check that. Knight here. Bishop takes, queen takes. Knight takes, pawn takes. Knight can't come here because of the queen, but it can drop back here. But then I can play f4 to defend the pawn on e5. So let's see if I calculated that correctly. He could take here first. I don't think that makes any difference. I'll take back with the pawn and his bishop is still undefended, so he will have to take on e2. I take back with the queen. He just retreats. Okay, that is another way to play it. But I think I gained a tempo, didn't I? I can play the funny move g4 here, kicking that bishop, and f4, cementing the knight. So after g4, where does the bishop go? If it comes into here, I'll trade it. Can't take it. I've got 3 pieces on it. It might go all the way back to h7. Yes, and then I'll get an f4. I want to get this in right away because in case the knight gets chased back, I want to have the square f3 available so that the knight can retreat. If he takes that way, I think that's okay. My plan is just to take towards the kingside here, get more pawns in around the kingside, chase his pieces away. This is good. Let's see, I didn't entirely figure this one out, did I? So where can the knight go from here? It can go to these squares. I take it. It takes here. I take back. I can push on with f4 perhaps. This pawn on... Yeah, I think that's an interesting way to play. If I play f5 rather, I'm kind of threatening to take the knight. And if he takes back, I can support it with my rook. It'll open up the g file for perhaps for him to attack, but it's also opening it up for me. Yeah, so he takes. These pawns are all defended. So I've got big pawns in the center here, and I've got weaknesses on the king side. And I don't know if this was entirely correct. He can go after the pawn on e3, which he does. This guy's playing pretty sharp here. So let's lift the rook. Defends e3 and defends f5, so it's maybe a bit overloaded. Anyway, rook. I wanted to get my king over here. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be able to round up that f-pawn, huh? With bishop takes f5. So now I have queen f1, puts pressure on the bishop. Where does the bishop go? It can go to, the bishop can go to g4. So let's see. Queen f1, bishop g4, rook g3, trying to pin the bishop. You know, he's got pressure on e3 as well. So maybe my adventure was not correct. Maybe it wasn't. Let's see. Any other tactics here? I think I want to lift the queen up off the back row so I can bring a rook to the g-file. So I'm going to play queen here, which defends the e-pawn for the moment. He can attack with bishop to g4 or that way. And let's see. Let's throw in this, hitting the queen. Takes. I'm sacrificing the exchange here. I can take here, but yeah, he can take there with the queen. So I have queen here. Queen to g2 threatens checkmate. And what can he do about that? Probably just coming back is good enough, huh? And we will pause and count the damage after all this. But I think he ended up he ended up the exchange ahead and some pawns. I'm down some pawns plus the exchange. So this did not work out.
Check.
Is that right? Oh, you can just take there, huh? Oh, that's forced. So he ended up 2 exchanges ahead. Okay, let's see how he plays this for a little bit and then I'll resign. Yeah, he grabs a pawn. So let's count. I have 2 against 3 over here and 2 against 3 over here. So he's up 2 exchanges and 2 pawns. That's amazing how quickly that went downhill. Okay, I'm controlling this file so his rook can't penetrate. I'm going to activate my king. And probably the simplest way to win is to double up on my loose pawns, maybe even give back the exchange and just win the endgame with rook versus bishop and extra pawns. We'll see what he does. Yeah, I'll centralize my king if I get the chance. Okay, so he's going to bring his king into the game too. And let's see if I can get some clever tactics going here.
Check.
Aha. Yeah, this is pinned, so I can't take on passant. True. But now I have a passed pawn, and he's going to get a passed pawn over here. So let's pin this pawn. See if he wants to give up the exchange under these circumstances, or if he wants to allow this kind of stuff. Okay, well that's good. Now I can, I needed to get my bishop out of the line of fire, but I'm playing my king to, I wanted to play my king to f4 there. Let's see, bishop check on this diagonal would be good, but I don't see how I'm getting it. Interesting. Okay, let's step back here. I want to stay in front of the pawns. Yeah, and he brought that forward immediately. Let's see. So let's push this pawn forward. I'm going to bring my bishop to c4 and push my only passed pawn here. Keep pushing it. Aha. Decides to go for the pawns. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I can't really defend my pawns. Okay, I'm going to resign.
White resigns.
I will upload this and do a postmortem, see how I could have done better. I'm sure there are a lot of opportunities.
Incoming challenge.
See you guys then. Bye.